Alright, it's March the 26th, 2014. And I tell you, I've been driving, I've been living in Oklahoma for a while. And I tell you, when I first started driving about 12 years ago, and I started a little... Anyways, when I started driving 12 years ago, people would put their signal light on and then wait for you to let them in, and then consistently, when you let them in, they would raise their hand and they would thank you for letting them in. And I gotta tell you, it's nothing like that anymore. It's nothing like that at all. I'm going down the highway and people will consistently cut me off without even signaling. And it's gotten to the point where I'm beginning to realize that it's deliberate. And it's just miserable spite is what it is. And I think that if you're passing them at an accelerated speed, they really want to cut you off, because then they feel like you got something that you might be kind of happy about. You know, your wheels are spinning, you're feeling good about something. They got misery radar built in on a very massive and extremely intense scale, okay, built in. And they don't have to think about it. I mean, the misery is there all day, and it's very intense, and they're very driven by it. And so basically, oh man, it's a nightmare. I was driving the other day, and I was driving on the road, and I was just like, man, this is freaking horrible. I was in between appointments, I was running around, and I was kind of running a little behind, maybe, and I was kind of in a hurry, and every single person I would pass would cut me off. I mean, without exception. It got to the point where I'm like waiting for it, you know what I mean? And just anticipating it. And finally, I had one, I was going like 80, and this lady was going about 55. And she just swung over in front of me. Just wham! Just swung over in front of me hard and fast. Right as I'm about to pass her. And I was just like, and just held it for a long time. All the traffic just started slowing down, and everybody just kind of stopped and stare. And the woman, when I first got behind her, she kind of threw up her hand like this, like, oh, what am I supposed to do, you know what I mean? And I was like, maybe just get out of my way, which she took her sweet time doing. And then as I'm passing her, she's flipping me off. And it's like, what are you throwing up your hands about? You just cut me off without even a signal light, going about 25 miles an hour slower than I am on a highway, in the fast lane. And, it happens over and over again. It's so bizarre that I need to get my life together so I can go ahead and get one of those dash cams. And it's not like I haven't been trying. I mean, I've been in and out of jobs just over and over again. I mean, the same kind of crap, just horrible people, just miserable people doing things, imperious, narcissistic, just the list goes on. And I mean, just like this last job, I was selling, they were having me go out on home show leads, and I didn't have a high closing percentage on home show leads, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it was probably somewhere below 10%. But these are people who show up at the home show, we approach them, try to convince them to let us come out and give them an estimate, and sure enough, maybe they'll let us do it out of being nice, but it doesn't mean they're interested. But on every single person that either picked up the phone or went to the internet and put in a bid request from our company, 100% I was selling. 100. And I get out there, and granted it was only 2 leads, okay? This guy was he's a franchise, so there's a lot of credentials, a lot of stuff to build up, and it's an easy sale. But this guy was a new franchise, and this company is not the best. They don't know what they're doing on franchising. Okay, I've been involved in that before, and they just don't know what they're doing. So I'm not even going to tell you all the mistakes they're making, but basically they'll sign up anybody. And And this guy, he's got a job as a home inspector, and he's got this huge county, this huge lucrative county that he shouldn't have. And I mean, you know, either way, the guy says, sorry. Anyways, I got some stuff on. Anyways, the guy says, so the guy calls me 5 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, it's like the first time he's felt like any authority in his life or any power over somebody. I'm sitting here like, he obviously doesn't know how sales, business relationships work. Because when you have a salesman who does a good job, you back off. You don't harass them, you don't hassle them, you don't like try to set the rules on some imperious agenda that's extremely stringent where they have to jump through hoops and answer their phone at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. You don't do that to somebody who's a great salesman. And I'm not saying I'm great, but dang, I mean, every lead that came in, I sold it. Every one. And he's got 2 other salesmen that he can't keep busy, and all 3 of us, and so he's got these demos on each one of us, and he wants to fire me. And here I am, you could at least keep me around. I'm selling 100%. I'm wasting my time running your leads, wasting my money for you, who I'm probably getting more percentage out of these deals than you're getting from anybody else, even below 10%. I mean, the whole home show only cost $50. I already sold a $4,000. Anyways, the point is that so he calls me one day. I tell him, look, I got the measurements right in front of my face. I'm telling you exactly what's going on. Nothing, everything's below this. I'm looking at all the numbers right now. There's 8 of them. And he goes, okay, you're looking at them right now. I go, yes, in her handwriting. She helped me write this up. It's right here. And he goes, all right. So he calls me back within 10 minutes, about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And he goes, all right, I just want to double check one more time. You got those numbers right? And I'm like, dude, man. And this is see how he is. I got to repeat myself over and over again, tell him the same crap over and over again. He wants to call me all the time. He wants to feel important. He's got his wife next to him. It's probably embarrassing. I mean, this is probably what ended up happening. Well, the dude calls me at, he calls me at 5, and I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. You know what I mean? All I want to know is I'm going to text him back and find out if he got a guy to agree to a lower bid, because I got a signed contract right here. I got his signature and his wife's signature, but he's going to let him get off on that one and let him go for a lower model. And I'm like, okay, so I say, I was waiting to hear back from him on that, and he keeps calling me with ridiculous crap. So I'm like, you know what, I'm not answering any more calls today. He calls me again at 5. I've spoken to him 3 times already this day. So he calls me at 5, and I'm like, no, it's 5 o'clock anyway, I'm not answering it. So I text him back a few hours later, and I'm like, yeah, did you find anything out? You know, I saw your missed call, what's going on? About 7 o'clock at night. He texts me back, yeah, the guy went for this model, whatever, he's happy. And then he calls me again. I'm trying to remember what it was about. I got the text, I can look through and find it. I've got a bunch of them in there. But he calls me back and asks me if I sent an email out. Yeah, he texts me. I text him and ask, hey, I missed your calls about 8 o'clock at night. And I just want to see what it was. He texts me back, asks me a question. I respond back, yes. Then his wife calls me at 9 from a different number just so I wouldn't recognize it. And here I got leads, I got estimates out. You know, I don't know who's calling me from that zip code or from that area code, but I figured I need to answer the phone. Just in case. It might be worth $1,000 to me, I don't know. Anyways, it's her, and she's sitting there going, I just want to let you know that this guy, so-and-so, he's the greatest guy to work for. She used to be an employee of his. Now she's his wife, whatever. And he's the greatest guy to work for, but his pet peeve is when people don't answer their phone. And I'm like, yeah, he's so great. Calls me at 10 o'clock at night and expects me to answer the phone, and now he's going to go around my back and have somebody call me from another number so he can deceive me and complain about it, that I don't answer my phone at 9 o'clock at night. So I'm pissed. And I'm basically like, look, I got a pet peeve too. I don't like being called at 5 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. And she goes, sounds like you don't want any calls or whatever. I'm like, whatever. I just let it go. And at that point, I'm like, well, look, that's obviously clearly not what I said, but I gotta go, you know? I mean, I gotta go right now. And it's 9 o'clock at night. She texts me back, I'm fired. It's like the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. I'm performing perfectly and going out of my way. Really spent more money than I'm probably even going to end up making just on gas just to run these leads for this guy. And it's just ridiculous, man. And so I finally have gotten to the point where I'm not even pursuing that ends anymore. And what I'm actually doing is something different. It's hard to explain what I'm doing right now. But I mean, it's basically the same old thing. Miserable people trying to put their little mark on something, and here I am. I've lost everything 10 times due to enslavement and mass murder. You know, some people call it drug prohibition, but it's not prohibition because you can't prohibit it. It's the farthest reaching you know, farce that the world's ever seen. It's the farthest reaching fallacy that the world's ever seen. I mean, golly. And you'd think that having more people in prison in China, we may just, you know, eventually decide to change course, but every single year it gets more severe. And anyways, there's some stuff going on right now, some people that want to end it, but not the fake libertarians like Ted Cruz. That's a fake libertarian. You know, he actually came out, and this video mysteriously has disappeared, where he came out and said, the Obama administration is circumventing the rule of law by trying to end drug prohibition with their new programs, and Eric Holder. And I'm sitting here like, let me explain to you what the rule of law is. That's the Constitution. And he's sitting here and goes, these laws are already on the books, and they're going around it. Let me tell you about another law that's on the books. It's called the Constitution. It says you have a right to liberty. Do what you want to do in your own house. We don't need to be getting enslaved for the purpose of mass murder. Thank you very much, you sorry piece of shit coward. You coward. Excuse me. But he is. I mean, he's just a coward. And, what a sorry piece of garbage. Anyways, you know... But anyways, it's been a long road. But anyways, I was sitting there telling this guy, I was like, telling him, I'm like, dude, I already got leads coming in. Because here's what I did. My dad's business is related to my business. And I'm not even getting paid to go out, and I'm basically, like, I'm training. And then whenever the job's getting wrapped up, I go to the homeowners and say, do you want people to call you on such and such? Because it's just a, it's just a part of the business, you know what I mean? And I got a business that I've been doing for several years that is one of those businesses. So I've got people who do sales, who've done sales for me before, and I got people who've done production for me before. So I got to stay hands off during the sales process, send somebody else out to sell it. Anyways, and these miserable people that are surrounded by, I mean, I made this video last night, and I'm not going to publish it to every single one of my channels and anything, but you know, it's basically talking about how people literally are like conniving rats who have made their way into our family business, etc. And at the end, I'm basically like, and here's the thing, I saw all this coming. You know what I mean? I saw it all coming. And when I was 21 years old, I saw it coming. I took out loans and you know, put my credit on the line and everything else, and ended up getting enslaved over mass murder and enslavement and drug use and gangs and cultural distortion and HIV and etc. So we can have more people enslaved than any country in the world, or more than all the industrialized nations of the world combined. Or you know, you could say more than any in the history of in world recorded history. But what a joke. What a joke. So anyways, I think what I was saying is basically, I'm getting upset because all these people are, yeah, and that's what it is. And people are screwing me over. People come out of the woodwork. They're, as soon as money comes up, money's going better. I did everything for my dad's marketing. I mean, storyboarded and scripted the marketing videos. My name's in the credit sequence. It was my idea to bring in the television commercials. Wrote half of them. And I didn't do everything. I don't deserve all the credit, but I deserve probably the most of it, in my own opinion. I mean, scouted out website designers, revised the way that we do major aspects of our business. I've read books on franchising and gone in to implement. You know what I mean? Dry literature that nobody else in the company's read. And and so anyways, like what I was saying is basically, even though I've done all that and I've got people like this conniving little weasel who's come into our business and gone in, the first thing he did was, I hate admitting this, but I shouldn't even talk about it. But I mean, it's just part of my life. I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's part of the general overview of life, just a reflection of the rotting, spirit of what's going on around here. Just the rotten spirit. And it's everywhere. I mean, this guy has got me set up right now. I can't even talk about it. I'm so upset about it. I mean, it's painful. I can't even talk about it. That's how painful it is. I mean, this guy, he's gone in, connived, my dad's company to like tell my dad I'm warehousing myself after I came back from Oklahoma, so that I could start here in Dallas over again, so I could stay away from my dad's wife, who we caught over and over again, destroying all of our family heirlooms. Caught her in triplicate. I mean, I could just keep going and going and going with all the rotten crap that I'm exposed to. And then here's this dude, and he's a collaborator, or complicitous. My mom's husband, and he feels like he's in on something. You know what I mean? And he's all in, and like he like tries to like attack me. You know what I mean? Like over not believing that Al Qaeda's real and stuff, and like gets hostile. You know what I mean? And and I'm sitting there explaining to him every single aspect. Going over documentaries and books I've read. And the family history of these people, you know what I mean? And here's this dude, and he just doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shut the hell up. I wanna sign on. I'm rotten. You know what I mean? I can't even put words to what's going on inside his head. I mean, that's one of the things. That's one of the things that really bothers me, because it's like this little conniving spirit, like looking around, like with these little giddy looks in your eyes, like you're getting away with something. You know what I mean? Like a child. Like a giddy little child, like a little child that sneak, like, I've heard this term before. It's called criminal addictive excitement, and that's kind of what I would liken it to, but it's more like a snot-nosed version of it from a 5-year-old. And I remember I was sitting there one night and I was just like, yeah, this is all we need is more movies about terrorism, And he like started looking around and peering around the room, like somebody was about to come in and catch him, and he was getting away with something, like had a fresh new lollipop in his mouth. It's just, golly, man. And then you sit there and start going over it in your mind. You're like, oh my God, and you're trying to figure this out and you can't figure it out, and you just keep getting more and more angry, and then you're like, dude, I'm gonna kill this fucking son of a bitch. And going behind my back and working against me with this dude, and like, then I still had an option, and then he started taking this dude out to dinner every week as soon as I told him I still have an option, just so he could get my money, and then calls my dad so he can scrape the rest away from me. And like, I came over here just to help them pay their bills so they could have some of the money. And anyways, I don't want to go into all of it, but every time I come up with, I'm going in a positive direction, the dude sits there like, you can just tell he's pissed. You know what I mean? And like when I told him that this was working out for me, or that this will work out for me, it's worked out for me kind of in the past, is one of the first things he told me was it was deceptive. And here's this dude sent me my mom down to Mexico to have a botched surgery on her stomach, and then put her up to lying about it, and then went on awkwardly injecting points. It's just, I just can't even talk about it, man. And it's pointless, you know what I mean? It's pointless to talk about this. But the rotting rotting, snot-nosed, conniving creeps that just surround me is just unbelievable. And if it's anything like this for over the rest of the planet, then I mean, it's like a Shark Tank where they've just dumped 10 gallons of fresh blood into it, and they're all just going crazy in there. And God, man, it's just, I start to lose it, man. I start to lose it. And so, but anyways, let me go into something real quick. I was listening to the news this morning, and they said, and it's just the spirit, you know what I mean? It's just the spirit, the rotting spirit of wanting to get over on somebody, feeling like you're a part of something. You know, these people have tried to commit me to mental institutions and promised me that it wasn't committing me to an mental institution. I'm like, dude, the door's locked from the inside. I'm sitting there, I got a pen in my pocket. I'm like, dude, if one of these dudes try to grab me, I'm going to stick it right in his fucking eye. You know what I mean? And I'm just glad I didn't have to do that, because it would have been some serious shit going down in there. And there are just a couple of liar scumbag creeps, you know, that came in, went around the company, gathered up opinions that I didn't do anything I said I did, etc., etc. I want to feel like I'm part of the Democrats. I mean, one of the first things I told him was some of the stuff I'm coming across, and he goes, you mean like the Trilateral Commission and stuff like that? I'm like, whoa, you know what you're talking about. And he's like, yeah. And I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I just try to go along to get along. So right there, he brings up actual evidence that he knows deeply what's going on. And it'd be like saying, oh yeah, you're talking about those kids they pick up from that little foster care across the street, and they take them off and they rape them and then they shoot them in the head. You talking about that one? And I'd be like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, I want to just forget about that. I don't really care about that. It's like, dude, you're a conniving little snot-nosed nobody! Anyways, I'm sorry, but anyways, let me get into something serious here. Besides all the people that are just miserable. Anyways, no, I was listening to the news this morning, and they were saying that they got this new program where, oh man, this video is going to have to be chopped up too, because I got strikes on my account for using copyright material that I appealed under fair use. It was the appeal that caused me to have my videos shut less than 15 minutes. So just so you know, I don't enjoy posting short videos on this thing. I think it's pathetic and stupid looking, and it's like, that's the world we live in, you know. So, but anyways, I was listening to the news, and they said they've got a new program where they're going to start attributing a fine or a fee to using plastic bags at the grocery store. They're gonna mandate it. And I gotta admit, I probably have something to do with some of this type of legislation. I used to post a video that used to be, why don't we just start going through people's trash instead of going through what they do in the privacy of their own house and see if they recycle or not, and attach a fee to that. But that's really illegal, because there's no probable cause. You can't just go through the trash, illegal search and seizure. So I was thinking, you know, there's better ways, and within a week, they were already beginning to do this in San Diego of me making this video. And it's like, man, it just didn't take much. You know what I mean? If you're talking about invading somebody's privacy, we're on the fucking ball. You know what I'm saying? And anyways, the point is there's a better way to do it. I mean, you could take a magnet, you could take the trash in a private area, run it down a conveyor line. There's a magnet, then there's a static conduction that'll attract plastic. If plastic comes out, if metal comes out of the recycled trash, or of the regular trash, then you're not recycling those products, and now we have a probable cause to go and see if you're not recycling those products. And you're sitting here like, it's a crime not to recycle? Yeah, it's a crime against humanity. Right now we got more plastic in the ocean than we probably have in landfills. And it's killing off life. I mean, it's unrealistic. There's not a single living thing on the face of this planet that doesn't have bisphenol A in it, because it's leached into the ecosystem, because it floats around in the ocean, it breaks down over long periods of time, and then things eat it. And so there's so much in the ocean that it's just filtering through their gills, get caught in their gills and everything else. And you know, it would really be a better idea to just quit enslaving everybody so you have a little extra money instead of spending $350 billion a year enslaving people. And, you know, then you could take that money and you could just literally sift through the trash for people. And you wouldn't have to find anybody, you know. And that's a huge idea, in my opinion, you know. Quit printing up money and giving it to banks in secret. Quit enslaving people for mass murder. Quit dumping money into this, you know, mission of you know, garnering up every, you know, piece of oil on the face of the earth, and gathering up all the oil, and just quit wasting all our money, you know. And you know, it's the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries is a monopoly on paper. I mean, they literally, as an organization, increase the supply of oil that these countries put out in unison. They decrease in unison. That's monopoly. They control the price of oil. You know, people are paying $3.50 where I'm at right now for a gallon of gas, for a cheap gallon of gas. And this ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? This ain't gonna work anymore. You know what I mean? We got to the point where you work an hour for minimum wage, 50% of that is just a gallon of gas. And it wasn't always like that, man. I can remember when I was a kid, minimum wage was about less than $6. Less than $6. It's a little less than 6, but you can get a gallon of gas for $1. That's not 50% of what you make in an hour as minimum wage. I mean, and it's going up. It's gone up about 10% in the last couple months. And they're going to consolidate the medical industry. You know? Oh, I heard this the other day. Healthcare is a right, not a privilege. A right, okay? Is freedom a right? I mean, is for human progress a right? You know what I mean? But you can't ensure that unless you give the market a chance to function. Okay? So let me explain this to you. We have inalienable rights; those have been established. We don't need some little comical cat in a Halloween costume to sit there and tell us that it's a right to get free health care. Okay, because I'm going to tell you something right now. There was laws where you could go into a hospital and actually get free health care before all this happened. Now I went to the hospital. I was literally beeping on. I got food poisoning. I was literally my vital signs were literally beeping on the screen. And they came in and told me get out. And there was 5 cops in the front. And I said, look, the machine's beeping. I got health insurance. I don't want to leave yet. Charge me. My machine is going off. My health signs are in vital condition right now. Critical condition. I don't need to be kicked out of the hospital. And that night I had one of those dreams where you meet people who have died and stuff. Literally. And it was very vivid. You know what I mean? I was like, you're not even dead. And they were talking to me without even speaking. And I think I may have gotten close. Maybe even died for a couple seconds that night. I mean, man, that was a horrible night. And so all that's going away. You know what I mean? All that's going away under this. So under the auspices of everybody gets health care, people will get kicked off. People quit getting free health care. You know, and it's the same stuff. You know what I mean? Under the auspices of national security, they mass murder people. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that 9/11 was an inside job, and it's a program to bring about mass extermination. That's a problem. You know, they have coffins all over the country, hundreds of thousands of coffins. They got camps set up next to railroad tracks. And just see my video. It's got 350,000 views. Ron Paul on FEMA camps. Or 300. I don't know how many he has, but just go through the description. Click the links. See the coffins. This is what they did in Nazi Germany. It was George Bush's grandfather who laundered money for Nazi Germany and tried to overthrow the United States. There's a BBC documentary about it in my description. There's the Dixie McCormick Committee. They were going to use extermination camps. They were going to kill people in the United States. His grandfather was going to do it. Now, lo and behold, under the same program, a false flag. We outstripped the Constitution under a euphemistically titled bill within a month, without congressional approval of the bill. Nobody even saw it. Same exact story. Everything. Everything is the same. Oh, how do you convince somebody to commit suicide on 9/11? Why don't you go see the movie New American Century? The radar blips disappeared from the screens. In the 1960s, they were going to take planes, down them, take CIA jets painted like passenger jets, fly them into domestic buildings and infrastructure, and blame it on Cuba so we can go into Cuba. But there was probably a little bit more of a desire to create a mass murder scenario, because that's what happened in Nazi Germany, and everything about it is identical. I mean, they outstripped. They have the Patriot Act, similar to the Enabling Act. Oh, it's not. We're enabling the government to help us. You know what I mean? For security. You go to the airport, they scan you naked going in. You got some imperious, miserable creep sitting in a medical degradation uniform and sitting there. And then the guy turns to me. I'm just gonna touch you like this, right on your ass. That guy's lucky. He's even still breathing, and that I don't know who he is. Because I'll probably just take a hole and just put it right in his freaking head. Wham! Anyways, the point of the story is, and it's getting old. So, anyways, that's what's going on. I don't know what else to say. That's what's going on. People are getting enslaved. People are getting murdered. Innocent people are full. The prisons are full of innocent slaves. That's what we call them, slaves. The dungeons are full of slaves. That's what it is. What else? 6,000 innocent people were enslaved today. What does that have to do with a Malaysian airliner? Nothing. But it's just so corny. You know what I mean? That I keep hearing every day, like some kind of some kind of detached, just living in another world, just a deluded, a deluded, neurotic, fantasy world. There ain't nothing. A deluded, neurotic moron that lives in another world. To sit there every single day and sit there and tell me, oh, we found 144 pieces in the Gulf of this plane, a Malaysian airliner from another country. That's not even our problem. And it's like, yeah, I've seen planes actually disappear from radar screens. That's a problem, because those planes probably did disappear. In the movie New American Century, you see the CIA documents, and they actually sit there and tell you what was going to happen to these people is unknown. In the 1960s, they're going to down those planes. What's going to happen to them is unknown. Well, the society's going to have to believe they're dead. So they were probably marched into a ditch and shot all in the head at point blank range. I got a problem with that. I'd like to hear something about that in the news. You know what I mean? Or how about I'm getting naked body scanned in a machine that unzips my DNA and causes cancer. Oh, man. I have naked images of myself going around with some imperious creep screaming down my neck so that you can have a mass murder scenario. I'd like to hear something about that. That has to do with airliners. That has to do with the airport. That has to do with, let's talk about reality here. Let's talk about literally what's going on, not some distraction, propaganda, garbage, trying to sound like 60 Minutes or some 60 Minutes story that just kind of, oh, we're so excited about it, we just can't quit talking about it. It's nothing but pure distraction. It's nothing but pure garbage. It's nothing but a bunch of narcissistic creeps who sit around and pretend like they're getting away with something, and like we can't see right through what you're doing. Somebody who lives in another world. Somebody who lives in another world. They think you believe it. They think that you're actually sitting there right now going, wow, what's going on with the Malaysian airliner next? They think you care. They really think it. That's what frustrates me so much, how stupid they are. I mean, it's so funny. It's not even frustrating. It's just hysterical. It's pathetic. So anyways, I'm done.